Having those experiences that you gave me really propelled me into being able to play in front of people and not to be afraid, because some people do get shy out there. If there's an embarrassing moment that happens to them, they can freeze up easily and get out of the zone of what they're doing on the court. So
Welcome to the Living in the Zone podcast. I'm your host, ZoneCoach Jim Fannin. I've coached champions in life, business, and sports for 50 years with a proprietary thought management system that I discovered called SCORE. Every guest on this show has been in what we call a zone state, a purposeful, calm feeling where nothing can go wrong, and you're performing at your highest level. We're excited to feature Ann Grossman, a former national champion and successful professional tennis player, and reached a career high ranking of world number 29 and competed at all 4 Grand Slam tournaments. She is now a certified zone coach and dedicated her time to mentoring young athletes. Join us as we explore Ann Grossman's journey right here on Living in the Zone. Ann Grossman, welcome to the show. I'm fired up about having you on the show. I've known you for a half a century. Can you believe that? Yeah. First time I met you, 1974, I believe. You were 4. Is that correct?
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
You walked into, I had a tennis club in Columbus, Ohio, indoor. And you walked in and you were all eyes. It was like 2 giant eyes with arms and legs, and you were so little. It was amazing. But I noticed right off the bat, you were in a tennis taught class of, I think, 4 or 5 kids, and you just stood out because of your discipline, your focus. I just never seen anybody focus like that, definitely at that age. And then you really became the poster person for a tennis top program that I franchised around the world. And I remember bringing you and a couple of other kids from Columbus, Ohio to Chicago. Do you remember that?
Absolutely. But I mean, I'd really love to talk about even being in Columbus on the tennis tots and what you created there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible what you did ongoing. We put on exhibitions in shopping centers, courthouse steps. That was such a great experience for me to get to play in front of people in malls, and they would just stop and watch us play. And I just think that, you were the most unbelievable promoter of the game. So I just want to thank you for that, because really
We had an exhibition. I brought in Bjorn Borg for an exhibition, and Tennis Tots was the sponsor, and all the kids all of our tot classes was free, and you were there.
I think it was the Cleveland Nets.
It was Martina.
Yeah.
How ironic that you met Martina at that time, and then later went on and beat her number 1 in the world.
That was a pretty special day for me.
That was surreal. Well, let's go back. I remember, 3 years from that moment, I moved to Chicago. I sold, I think, 40-some franchises of a little tot program to all the indoor tennis clubs. But I booked the halftime show for the Chicago Bulls up against the Philadelphia 76ers, I think, with Dr. J, I think, at that time. And 17,000 people. And my assistant that traveled and helped me with the tot was Bill Warrens, who later became
He was my coach. He was
full-time coach for you back in Columbus. But when you walked out on the half court, you got booed. They started boo. It was unbelievable. The boos, 17,000 people.
Yeah.
So they're like, you and Bill Warren's, but once you started hitting the ball, the crowd went silent. Everybody locked in, and we got the biggest standing ovation. What did that make you feel like? I mean, it was surreal for me being on the court with 17,000 people. You know, I'm 26 years old or something. Yeah. But you were like 7, I think, at the time. You still were a little tiny. You looked...
Yeah. I think I was 6 or 7.
6 or 7?
Yeah, and I just remember walking out there because there was nothing out on the court except the net. And, like, it's very different now. There's, like, so many cheerleaders, so much hoopla going on. But I just remember just walking out there, just me in the net and Bill on the other side and people booing me. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, what's going on? You know, like, it was crazy. And then the minute I hit the first ball, it was just like, this crowd just erupted.
They went nuts. They were so on your side. I still have chills from it.
I get so choked up because what an amazing, like, experience for me being so young.
Now let's take that experience.
Yeah.
How did that help you out on the pro tour? You were top 30 in the world, and I think you beat 5 players, number 1 in the world. Am I correct?
Yes.
5? I mean, a remarkable career. How did that experience at 7 change your life?
For one thing, I always wanted to play on center court because I wanted to be in front of everybody.
Now, there's rumors that you would actually go to the tournament directors on the pro tour and complain, why aren't I on the show court? Why aren't I? Is that true or not true?
I would complain, but I would say that I would love to be on center court to play because I just felt like it always brought out the best in me. I just rose to that occasion. And we know when you're on a back court, it's harder to get up for that moment. But, of course, I mean, most show people, they want to be in front of everybody. But unlike, say, maybe my sister, she didn't like to have that, like, all eyes on her. So I think by having those experiences that you gave me really propelled me into being able to play in front of people and not to be afraid. Because some people do get shy out there. If there's an embarrassing moment that happens to them, you know, they can freeze up easily and get out of the zone of what they're doing on the court. So I think just like I said, that just completely, like, you know, propelled me to be able to play in front of crowds.
I can't imagine there was anybody on the pro tour that outworked you. You were a worker. You would work on something just over and over and over again. And I know, you know, obviously I knew your dad very well. He's the one that fell in love with tennis, I think, at Ohio State, and then got into tennis, came to our club, played in a couple of men's leagues, and brought you in. But he was a farmer.
Yeah.
He was a farmer and Grove City, I like to call it Groove City, Grove City, Ohio.
Yeah.
Tell me about your farm life, because that's where your work ethic really, what were some of your responsibilities and what age were you when you had these farm responsibilities?
I mean, probably from the moment that I was born. But, yeah, my dad was a farmer. We had 2,000 hogs at the time.
2,000 hogs. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Kentucky, and my job was to slop the hogs. We had 3. It was the worst job I've ever had in my life. I mean, if you've ever slopped hogs, it's terrifying, and you could get eaten. But
I cut the tails off the baby pigs. So that's
oh my
what
goodness.
I did.
That was your job?
Yeah, that was my
Cutting
job.
the tails off baby pigs. I can see that on a resume.
Do you know what happens when you cut the baby tail?
Tell me.
You know, it's normally curly, right? Guess what happens to it?
Straightens out?
It straightens out.
Wow. I didn't know that. Thank you for the pig knowledge. I appreciate that. So your responsibilities were what?
No, I had a lot of responsibilities. For one thing, we had a massive garden. Okay, and huge, like couple of acres that I was always in charge of weeding the garden. We had 12,000 tomato plants, 3,000 strawberry plants, and not only, I mean, like
I get tired of even counting them. Counting that many. That's a lot.
But the thing is that, like, because we had hogs, we had we had that many hogs, and my dad farmed 2,000 acres of soybeans and corn. So, you know, I spent many nights with my dad in the combine or sleeping in the pickup truck just to be with my dad, because when it was, you know, harvesting season, that was the time to be with him. And so, you know, just not only that, but like being in that environment and see how hard my dad worked. And also like feeding the hogs, like say, carrying 5-gallon buckets with feed. I mean, those are called farmer's carry right now in CrossFit terms. But I was doing that when I was really young, and I think that's why I had such a, my hands are strong, and I think that's why I had such a great base of my full body, because I developed that strength.
So you're actually a farmer's daughter, right?
I really am. And the other thing that I did when I was 12 years old, I remember we sold firewood to grocery stores. We would make bundles. And I was in charge of log splitter, lifting up those heavy, pieces that my dad chainsawed, lifting them on the log splitter. And I mean, 12 years old doing that in 0-degree weather, you kind of get a little bit tough, You get mentally tough because, I was a really good player then. And I did a lot of visualization when I was doing that, showing okay, I'm getting this strong, to compete. So I use that power in my mind to make me tough.
Your dad was a tough guy.
Yes.
And you hit off the wall a lot.
Mm-hmm. In the barn.
In the barn. Tell me about that.
In the barn with the cows. We had cows too, but those were mostly just for market for us for food. But anyway, I would spend hours upon hours in the barn. He it was kind of a dirt floor, and he completely cleared it, and he put 2 pieces of plywood, and so the ball never bounced the same off of the dirt and the floor that we had. It wasn't like this perfect flooring of cement.
Kind of like grass courts.
Yeah, and so, I was playing off the dirt, and I think I learned to hit the ball so clean because I had such tough situation of hitting on that wall, because you have to hit the ball perfect for it to come back to you, and especially it was in a very narrow, area in the barn. So, my dad used to joke later on, he's like, I got you to hit the ball too clean because the players love to hit your ball. And it was funny because Lindsay Davenport, she would like to practice with me a lot because she's like, Ann, I love your ball. And I'm like, yeah, my dad told me I'm hitting it too perfect, So I gave her such good rhythm. But anyway, I would spend hours and hours against the ball. One time I was 11 years old and I hit 1,200 times without missing.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Seriously? Wow, I did not know that.
When I was really young, yeah.
Yeah, that's
11, 12 years old. I hit 1,200 in a row. And so
we had a big wall at Tennis East in Columbus, a huge wall. It was awesome.
It was.
And I would walk out to the courts and I would just hear this, boom, boom. And I knew it would be you because you would go to the wall all the time. Other kids wouldn't.
No.
But you would do that.
This was my ritual every time when we would go to the club is my dad always made me go to the wall first, and then I'd hit at least 30 minutes against the wall, and then if I had some sort of clinic, then I would play in the clinic, and then as soon as the clinic was over, straight back to the wall.
Wow.
And this was a consistent every single day. I wouldn't get home till really late at night. I would fall asleep on my books for school doing my homework. It was tough, and we lived 45 minutes away from the club as well.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of hours playing in the park, not only at the tennis club but in the park.
Wait, when did you win your first tournament, junior tournament? Do you remember the first tournament?
No.
You've won so many you forgot. you won so many you forgot. Now you were national champion. Mm-hmm. How old were you when you won the 18 nationals?
I won the 18 super nationals when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
So my dad...
Where was that played?
That was in, oh my gosh, in Memphis.
Memphis, of course. Memphis, yeah.
Memphis, because I won the clay court nationals before. So I won the clays and then the super nationals, and I won the international grass courts in Philadelphia. So that was pretty cool because I was on grass. And
that got you into the U.S. Open.
That was my first pro tournament ever. My dad had this rule. A lot of the girls that were younger than me or older than me, they were playing in pro tournaments. And I was like, Dad, I want to play in a pro tournament. He's like, no, not until you win a national. And so, because I was always up there, but I just wasn't winning national championships until all of a sudden, I peaked right at the right time to win that tournament. So my first pro tournament was the U.S. Open at 16 years old.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Did you play on center court?
No, I didn't. But I played Raffaella Reggi. So,
wow.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
I lost, but you know why I lost? It wasn't because she was that much better than me. It's just I just didn't believe in myself.
Wow.
I just, yeah.
Here you are, national champion, clay court champion, international yet you go to the pros and you go, so you had those doubts.
I definitely had those doubts. And she was 18 in the world. And, later on I went to a tennis academy, splitting up like first semester at home, second semester at Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy. So, and she was older than me, and I never got on the court to practice with her before in my life. So this was the first time going out there, and she was a big deal. Amazing player from Italy and great person. So it was a little overwhelming for me.
And lots being said about parents in tennis and too tough and putting too much pressure.
Yeah.
How much pressure did you feel? Your dad was tough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I knew Bill extremely well. Yeah. He confided in me and a lot about you.
He loved you.
Well, I loved him as well, but how tough was it growing up with his work ethic, not yours? Yeah. You inherited that work ethic. Mm-hmm. Did you feel the pressure?
I had pressure because I wanted to get out of where I came from.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't so much that my dad put of course he put enormous
You wanted off the farm.
I wanted off the farm. And it wasn't that he put so much pressure on me. Of course he did, but it was daily pressure. It wasn't like my dad was like, you have to win this tournament. He never did that to me, but it was the constant of putting in the work every day. Because really...
That's all he knew.
That's all he knew. And he only just wanted me to go to college on a scholarship. So that's why, when I...
And you didn't go to college.
I didn't go to college. I turned pro when I was 17. I still had a year left of high school. And, to wait to go to college. And here I was already 75 in the world. I'd worked my ranking up after the U.S. Open within a year to be 75. So I could get into every major, main draw singles. And so as far as my dad putting pressure on me that way, it just was so much work that he put pressure on me.
Yeah.
And if I had a bad practice, it was the biggest nightmare all the way home. I mean, he chewed me out for 45 minutes just because I practiced bad or if I lost a couple points to
I wish
somebody.
you'd have lived closer. It had only been 5 minutes instead of 45. If you should have moved closer to the club.
Let me tell you, it was tough. And then when Walkmans came out, I would put my Walkman out and I would just look out the window in the back seat, just to try to get away from it and just be like, I just want out of here. I just want to get off this farm, So, and I mean, it was tough because one time when my dad literally said to me when I was 15 years old, do you realize your mom and I have $1 between the two of us?
Oh, my God. When he told you that, what did that do? And not only that,
I have to make it.
Plus you have a sister. The show's living in the zone, so it's not just playing tennis. You want to live in a zone, and you had a sister. Was she jealous?
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't easy for her because
You got a lot of attention.
I got a lot of attention.
Newspapers and all that kind of stuff.
And when my parents would take me, to the national tournaments and stuff, because I really only played 12 tournaments a year. I didn't hardly play any tournaments. Now it's crazy on how many tournaments these kids play.
Too much.
I played 12 tournaments a year, only the big ones and the ones that I had to play to get into the nationals. So that was very limited. And then so when I was doing that, then my sister was at home taking care of the farm. So that was a lot of job, a lot of responsibility for her.
Oh, wow.
And so that's a tough dynamic right there where I was a superstar. She was having to be at home. And,
Yeah, that's tough. Now, I remember we reconnected, and you came to my club in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Didn't you live with me for a few months?
Yes, I did.
I think you did 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
Or longer, 6. I don't really.
Yeah,
It was
and you set me up on the worst blind date I've ever. It was awful.
Wait a minute. Yeah. I don't remember that.
Did.
I set you up on a blind date? How old were you?
I don't know, but it was terrible.
Hopefully you were a lot older.
That was an awful date.
Really? I did not know that. I always had your best interest. He wasn't a nice guy. Where is that guy? I need to go back and slap that guy around. I did not know this. Yeah.
I'm traumatized by going on a blind date because of that one.
Oh, my God. I did that? Well, living in the zone.
I don't think I ever went on another blind date because of
The last blind date was the one I hooked you up on. That wasn't my strength, hooking people up on blind dates. That may have been the first time and maybe the last time I did that. But I remember you came in, and Peter Fleming was with the club with me, and Peter and I are at the club. And I always saw you as the best player in the world.
Really?
And I did from day one. I just thought, who's going to beat her? She's not going to miss. She's tenacious. It's like these two giant eyeballs running around real quick. You never missed a ball, and you were tenacious. Mm-hmm. You were so tenacious, and I love that about you. I remember you went to the U.S. Open. You played your first match, and now I think we were going to San Antonio, and that was your first kind of official. And you said you hit a perfect ball, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember going there. You were playing unbelievable in practice at the club. We get to San Antonio, and you play Sylvia Honecker, who was like 8 in the world from Germany. She never hit a waist-level ball in her life. It was heavy topspin over your head, slices below your knees, and she never gave you a good ball to hit. I remember after that match where you were saying, yeah, I got to make some adjustments here. What was it like? I think Steffi Graf was number 1 in the world at that time. Did you feel like you belonged when you got out there?
Probably maybe not right at that moment. You know, I mean, look, everybody played so differently. There were so many different styles. Like back in the day, you know, like you said, heavy, then slice, and some drove the ball. And, I mean, everybody was different. So you definitely had to constantly keep adjusting your game. But, I mean, I think that goes back also the reason why I was able to adjust is because my dad taught me every shot. Like, I went over
Well, he had to adjust off that bad backboard.
Yes. Yeah.
That was adjustment every shot.
I mean, definitely, I think, like, my dad taught me every single shot, and I honed every single skill. So then when I learned to, like, play those players, because at the beginning of your career, you know, you're just learning, like, the whole dynamic of traveling the world. And the lifestyle, all of that. And then you start, like, you know, you start building your confidence on knowing how to play the other players, and you're maturing. So,
speaking of blind dates, how do you have a social life as you're climbing the pro ladder where it just demands all your focus? How do you travel the world and then have a social life?
You don't have one.
You don't. Oh, that's it. Oh, you don't have one. So there's no discussion here.
There's just no discussion. I mean, I feel like people say, like, social media now, and there's all these, like, distractions.
Thank God, like, we didn't have cell phones back then.
But, like,
all
I had was my AT&T calling card that, like, you know, it was like $800 a month. Every single month was $800. That's all we had, or a fax machine, you know, to receive faxes. So, and that way it was extremely lonely. And, you know, I feel as a female, it's really sometimes challenging because, you know, sometimes men are a little intimidated of you, right? If it's not a really super strong man that really, you know, has a lot going for themselves and can handle, you know, a female climbing the ladder, I think it's really tough to meet somebody that can really, like,
well, your formal name is Ann Grossman Wunderlich.
Yeah.
Speaking of a strong male, tell me about your husband.
My husband's Eric Wunderlich. He swam in the 1996 Olympics. And, you know, when I met him, I remember I just ended a relationship, and then I started, like, dating some people, and I ended up being introduced to him by a mutual friend, and he just, he was completely different than anybody I'd been around. I mean, obviously I'd been around a lot of male tennis players and how they were, but here he was, like, the best in the world. He was world record holder, you know, and number 1 in the world in the breaststroke, and he just had an incredible personality. He treated me unbelievable, and here the guy was making no money, and I was just like, wow.
You're swimming.
Yeah, he was just swimming. You know, he swam because he loved it. He was
that's a tireless sport. I mean, that's just hours and hours and hours in the pool. That's grueling.
It takes a lot of discipline.
It does.
And so I, you know, I just felt like, you know, when I met him, like, he just could handle, like, everything about me and what was going on. And so after the 1996 Olympics, he started traveling with me. So that was a nice companion to have.
So did he ever give you a couple of concentration tips or no?
No, but let me tell you, swimmers, if anybody is dating a swimmer, is married to a swimmer, if they get off that black line, man, different guy. Different. Yeah, they like structure, staying on that long black line, for hours watching it.
Stay in your own lane, Ann. Stay in your own lane. And what I just
recently also found out is that everything he does is by time. So when he goes into a store, it's by time.
Come on.
I swear.
That's got to drive you nuts.
Well, he just recently told me this. I didn't know this because one time we were in the car, and if we say we go into Walmart, well, I like to go into Walmart and just,
shop. It's called shopping. It's called shopping.
Check out the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
No list. I'm just shopping. I got some cash.
I know.
And he's like, we need these two things in 9 minutes.
So I'd get into a fight with him because I'm just like, I don't want to go into Walmart because you just are in and out so fast. Like, it's just so boring. Like, why do I even want to get out of the car? Because there's no reason. And he didn't tell me that he went by time. So,
wow,
one time I sat
I've
in
never
the
heard of timing shop. That's unbelievable. I'm going to start timing my wife. I'm going to start timing her. You got 9 minutes, in and out.
So one time he comes out and he goes, okay, that took 3 minutes and 24 seconds. So I was like, what are you talking about? and he goes, oh, yeah, I do it by time. I'm like, SMH, man, just shaking my head on that one.
Wow. That's unbelievable. Now, 2 superstars, 2 champions, have a baby, have 2 babies. Tell me about your babies, Mom.
Yeah, okay, well, I have Fletcher Wunderlich, who is a senior at Iona University. He's a golfer, and he's graduating May 17th, so I'm extremely excited about that. And then...
pro aspirations.
Yes, he's going to be turning pro.
Yes.
And then I've got Ty Wunderlich. He's a freshman at Oklahoma State University playing tennis.
He's a baller.
And he's a baller, yes.
Oh, he is.
He's spitting image of me.
And he's a grinder. He'll hit 1 billion balls to win 1 point.
He doesn't like to miss. It's
he
unbelievable
won't miss.
When he went.
There's rumors he may have the biggest forehand in college tennis. Is that close?
That's what I've been told. Yeah. So he's developing. And
so what's it like? 2 champions raising 2 young champions. Did you all fight over Uno or Monopoly? Yeah. Was it holy chaos and throwing stuff?
Yes.
Who has the worst temper? Playing a board game at home. You, Eric? Ty, the youngest.
The youngest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he always wins.
He always wins.
Monopoly could be 5 days long. He wins.
He'll win it.
He wins every time. Yeah, it's actually incredible. But we would always have football games in the road, and Ty was always my partner because I would be all-time quarterback. And then against
I
Eric
like how
and
you
Fletch.
said that with so much confidence. That was unbelievable. All-time quarterback, spiral, on the money, accurate.
Absolutely.
I like that. Only a champion would come up with that.
Yeah, but you know how I learned that is because my dad, being on the farm, we had land, and he would always make me go out for passes.
He would send you out for passes.
Yeah, no, all the time. I was like the wide receiver. I was his boy that he didn't have.
I would send Colby out for a pass, and then I'd go inside and leave her out there just to punk her. To do that.
Anyway, but no, I did spend a lot of time playing football with my father, and he's the one that taught me how to throw the ball. And so, I love to play football with my family, with the boys. And, it's always into some drag out massive fight that you can't even imagine. I mean, my husband is so insanely competitive, and he's secretly just building inside. Like, he's crazy too. He's crazy. He used to spit in the lane and to throw the guy off. Like, right before they dove in, he'd spit in the lane.
He'd spit a loogie in the other lane?
Yeah, to throw the guy off.
Wow. A little secret world champion trick.
Yeah. He's crazy.
And the guy would go, "You're disgusting," and then the gun would go, and the guy would be sitting there going, "I'm late." Wow. Yeah. I'd never heard doing a loogie in the lane over. I like that.
Highly competitive, and he's very sneaky because he doesn't show it on the outside. Like, it's really interesting. I mean, he only carried around his goggles and his little swimsuit, so he, you're not throwing your racket, there's no shenanigans like that. So it's all inner, right?
I want to go back to tennis. You had a surreal moment with Martina Navratilova because I did an exhibition, Jim Lathrop and I, in Columbus, Ohio. After Bobby Riggs got beat by Billie Jean, we had a battle of the sexes. And Martina Navratilova came into town and partnered with national champion Rainey Fox. So Jim and I played. Martina beat them. It was a big match, and the women were rooting against us, and the men were rooting for us. Mm-hmm. But you had an experience with Martina. I think she picked you up and put you in a basket, didn't she?
Actually, no, she just picked me up, and my dad took a picture of it. And it was pretty amazing because my first U.S. Open.
And you were, 7 at the time, maybe?
No, I was younger.
Oh,
I
wow.
was younger.
That's right.
I might have been
You may have been 5, 6.
I think I was 5, around there. I was really young.
So you have a picture with Martina at age 5.
Yes.
And then when you played her, how old were you?
I played her several times.
First time?
My first time, I got destroyed in D.C. 0-0 in 52 minutes.
No way.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
0-0?
0-0.
Bagels.
I was just looking at the clock.
Holy crap.
Please.
A pro tournament? How many people in the audience?
10,000 people.
Oh, my God.
It was in D.C. on Supreme Court, which is that really super fast.
Oh, I know Supreme.
Slick,
and
not my surface. That I got destroyed.
What's that commercial? Want to get away? Want to hide?
Yeah, I did want to hide.
So tell me
So what happened is that the U.S. Open, I had the picture, and I went up and I showed her the picture, and she was just like, "Oh my gosh!" So that was a cool moment for me. I mean, I'm 16 years old, showing her the picture, so that was pretty special. So anything. I've always believed that anything is possible. I tell my boys that over and over, and that showed it right there.
And when you beat her, tell me about that.
That was amazing. I was down a set, 5-4.
Where were you?
40-15, L.A.
Number 1 in the world,
Virginia
Martina Navratilova, Virginia Slims of L.A., a big deal. Yeah. She's already spanked you 0-0 like a baby, like a child.
No, that's not true because I played her, I think, when I was 19. That was the first time I played her, either 18 or 19. My dad was still alive, and he wasn't sick yet, so it might have been when I was 18.
Yeah.
And then I played her a couple other times where I lost in 3 sets. And so I was building the confidence that I knew that I could beat her, and I also practiced agast her.
She was intimidating.
She was very intimidating. That's what psyched me out the most about her.
Yeah.
And there was so much charisma back in the day. I just feel like in our game right now, it's missing. She was just had that incredible.
Well, and then her and Chrissy, it's like ice and fire, and the whole dynamic of that was amazing. All right, so let's go back when you won. Yeah, tell me about that.
So I was down double match point, come back and win.
Wait a minute.
6-4, 7-5.
You're down double match point to Martina.
Yeah. Came back, win. Yeah, so it was amazing. And
did your father get to witness that?
No.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, my dad died when I was 20. I was 32 in the world, splitting sets with the top players in the world, and I lost my dad to cancer when I was 20 years old.
The last thing...
so I played it when I beat her. That was in 94, 95. I think 94. Wow. Yeah.
The last thing your dad said to me before he died, watch over my kid.
No.
He did. And I go, I didn't know what that meant. I'm 26 or something. And I go, I will. Yeah. I will. And then everything changed. You were doing what you were doing. I'm doing what I'm doing. And I contacted you, and we've been talking obviously ever since. I'm coaching both your boys, who are amazing. I mean, it's fun to coach kids that are already champions, have that pedigree, and they are ferocious. I'm excited about seeing their pro career. But you co-founded the Women's Tennis Coach Association, and you're running that right now. Tell me about that organization, because you have not only transcended from being a great junior player, a great champion. now coaching and putting this organization, I mean, you're out there holding the flag, and you're the advocate for women coaches or anybody that's coaching women. Mm-hmm. Can you coach women the same as men? You really can't, can you? There is a difference in men and women.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. I mean, women are just so much more sensitive than men. And, there's definitely like some real strategy in coaching female players. And so our organization is just based on, building the female
How
athlete.
many people do you have? A couple of hundred, I think?
Yeah, we have a couple hundred members. And right now we're
awesome coaches, a couple of hundred of awesome coaches. I know I came to the U.S. Open, did a speech on
at our conference, and thank you so much. It was amazing. And yeah,
I cried.
You were trying. Yeah, you did.
I cried like a baby. I was raised big boys don't cry. There's no crying in sports.
Yeah.
And
but this was your first back coming into tennis because you haven't been back into the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. I left tennis, and I didn't leave it. Well, I did leave it. I sold my tennis club. Baseball, football. I was coaching everything. But tennis is always in my roots. That's how I got started, and back into it. So tell me, what's on tap for women coaches today? What's the challenge coaching a player on the tour? What's the biggest challenge, you think? Everybody has good strokes. That's an entry fee of just getting into the sport itself. What challenge are you seeing?
I just think so much on the mental side of the enjoyment of what the girls are going through right now. I think the enjoyment is really lacking. I think they're just they have all these teams around them, right? And I just don't think they have so much the freedom. And I think like the people that are around them are really controlling them. That is just my opinion on what's going on, because I was just at the Miami Open and just like viewing everything and how people are interacting. I just don't feel like it's the same the way it used to be when I played. I mean, I had the best time when I was playing. I loved it. We loved it being on tour. Like, we interacted, the time in the locker room,
camaraderie,
hanging out. Yeah, like.
And you're still friends with all these players that you played with.
Like, I literally got along with every single player, like, on tour. Like, and I'm just not so sure that that's the way it is right now so much. I'm sure there is, like,
well, the money is just, what's the most money you ever won in 1 year?
In 1 year, I think I won $250,000, and that's when I made like 4th round of the French and 4th round of the U.S. Open. Made like 3 WTA finals in 1 year, and I think I made $250 that year. So that would have been like $1 million year for me. If the way it is right now, probably.
Or more.
Yeah.
Or more. Yeah, the money is just...
because I never lost first round in any Grand Slams. I always did really well in the Grand Slams.
You know what? You say that just, I never won the first... I mean, that's a bold statement. I mean, first round's an easy place to choke.
Yeah.
Because the first rounds today, when you played, they're tough.
Well, I thrived in that atmosphere. I felt like... a person that I used to work for, they used to say, don't push Ann into a corner because she'll fight like anything to get out. And I felt like going into the Grand Slam, like, that's when you want to, like, really rise and play your best. So I rose to those occasions. I love that. I thrived on that.
All right, I want to change the subject. It's still on tennis. It's still about Grand Slams. I'm going to tell you a very brief story. I'm sitting at Chris Everett's house in London. I was coaching John Lloyd, and I just blurted out, and it was an intuitive thing. I don't know why I did. I said, what do you do when you have your menstrual cycle, your period? I couldn't believe I said it. I'm like, what am I doing? What do you think Chrissy told me? I said, what if that happens on the first week of Wimbledon? What do you think Chrissy Everett said? She goes, I will make those bitches pay for how bad I feel. And I thought, that's awesome. I never thought of that. But a lot of guy coaches don't take that in consideration. They don't even get it, that there is that. Mm-hmm. And things do change, and coaches need to adjust. What's next for you?
What's next for me?
Yeah, what's your next chapter in your life? I mean, you've had a successful pro career. You've raised an amazing family. You have an amazing family. You're running an organization that it's a nonprofit, but it's benefiting not just the coaches, but in turn the players.
Yeah.
And now it's full circle, Ann, which is very hard because the score system was developed in Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And unbeknownst to you, you were a part of all of that research. We were doing research on how to maximize super learning at Ohio State with a controlled group of kids, and then all the tennis talk kids, we put them also into that research, and we discovered self-discipline as a marker that produces cortisol, concentration, optimism, relaxation, enjoyment. The mental side is the new frontier of the game, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I am so thrilled now to be a zone coach, and I have become
fully certified.
Fully certified.
And trained.
The past 2 years, I've worked really hard. Not only have I, been training to be a zone coach to help other people, but I've improved so much more as a parent for my children.
Tell me how.
They're becoming world-class decision makers on their own. I'm letting them be free to be who they are instead of...
I hope everybody carves that out of this interview. Say that again. You're helping your kids become world-class decision makers.
Yes.
Our kids are only as good as what they think when we're not there.
Exactly.
When we're not there.
So my whole thing the past couple of years is to try to say less. Because I feel like they are so much smarter than I am, and I don't want to put on them my insecurities of what happened in my career I don't want them reliving any part of that.
Oh my
gosh,
gosh,
So the best
Ann.
way is just to keep my mouth shut.
First of all, I'm a dad, and it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
I tell my daughter, I love you, I just don't like you right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm there to support them. And if I see, sometimes, their choices that maybe they've made or they're making, then I might say, oh, this, what's going on here. But,
so you've made a real life transition in the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So one with your kids. What are the other
all different
transitions?
Arenas in my life, right?
Tell me some.
I have myself, which for me to be mentally, physically, spiritually better, that arena, and then obviously, financial arena to be aware of my goals, also myself on the certain goals that I have for me, to be a better soulmate, to be a better daughter. So I'm constantly working on different all arenas of my life to just stay in the zone every day. The best thing about
to be a great leader is lead by example. And I know you've been doing that. I know you've made that change. It was a conscious change. It was a blueprint.
But it's
you
so
actually
much
have a
because
blueprint.
of you. Yeah, this is my blueprint, and you've helped me create this blueprint. And it's actually amazing, full circle. I mean, I've known
It's
you
weird.
since
It's weird, isn't it?
4.5. Yeah.
I keep looking. I go, are you 4 or 7? How old are you? There's no way I'm 74. That's what's really been freaking me out.
My dad would be so happy because he
would. He'd be proud of you.
Yeah, I have to say, IMG wanted to sign me, and he wouldn't let me sign with IMG. We were at the U.S. Open with all IMG people, and my dad just said, no, you're not signing with IMG. You're going with Jim Fannin. Jim is your guy, Ann. And that was that. He wouldn't let me sign. And so here, IMG was this huge management.
Oh, well,
they had everybody.
Everybody.
They had everybody. And my dad was like, nope. And so, which is really incredible now to come full circle. And now I'm working with you. And it's just been absolutely amazing. And I'm just so grateful.
I tell you, whoever could get Ann Grossman as their coach with your experience, your amazing knowledge, your infectious enthusiasm, your work ethic. I know you're going to hold them accountable too. They might not like that at times, but oh well, that's how you get to the top. They're blessed to have you as a coach. And I really mean that. And I'm blessed that you're part of the ZoneCoach team. I really am. I'm looking forward to it. And I can shut my eyes right now and see you center court Wimbledon, in the box, at the finals, coaching somebody, and not just women. You can coach men too, just as well as the women's side. I can see you coaching the next number one player in the world. I really can.
Thank you. I mean, and that's part of my blueprint is my primary arena is tennis, right? And so I visualize that every single night on everything that I want. It's pretty incredible because, when I was working with you, when I went back to Chicago to work with you, I remember going in the room and going over the score system. I can vividly remember the pieces of paper on what, score was. So I can see that right now. So it
is weird. And what else is weird for me is that when score was born 50 years ago, you were right there. You were right there when I discovered, and I didn't create it, I discovered the score system, but you were right there and you were an integral part of that. It has come full circle. I'm so glad to have you on the show. You got to come back, though.
Thank you.
We're going to have a discussion with you, Peter Fleming, and I'm looking forward to that. I know Peter's a certified coach as well, and you all are in Miami, and you're going to be going to other tournaments. And I think we're going to a tournament in Cincinnati toward the end of the summer. Peter won that tournament, so Peter, and I going to that tournament. That's going to blow my mind, really, that it's so back full circle. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Having me.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Champion, Ann Grossman, check her out. And if you need help to be the best that you can be, don't even think about it. Call us. We'll hook you up with Ann Grossman.
Thanks for watching or listening to Living in the Zone podcast. Make sure that you subscribe so you can be up to date on all of our information and content. Go to ZoneCoach.com where you're going to learn more on how we can help you live your life, business, or sport in the zone.